County traffic time, man. 309 Delta Alpha, turning left base for runway 5.
Good morning and welcome to the official C1 Thalassa talk show, Thalask About It, where we talk all things analog. I'm your host and Public Affairs Officer, Gabriel Bugay. As we progress through the talk show, we encourage you to leave comments and questions in the live chat with the hashtag AskSEA, and we'll answer them throughout the show. Today I am joined by a very special guest, Robin Gatens, the former director of the International Space Station. Robin, when I first made your LinkedIn connection, I was ecstatic, and I was even more ecstatic when you agreed to visit our Mission Control Center. So what convinced you to make the trip?
Well, you reached out, and I'm always happy to engage with students, especially students here at Georgia Tech, which is my alma mater. So I love that you reached out, and I was excited. I had heard about the analog since I'm on the advisory board for the Space Research Institute. And so I was happy to time it in conjunction with an already planned trip that I had here to Atlanta.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we'll just get right into your questions then. So as a Georgia Tech alumni, can you describe a fond memory of your time at Tech?
Well, I was here a long time ago, 1981 to 1985. So Tech was very different back then. I remember working very hard, studying hard, and spending a lot of time doing that. But I did have some enjoyable times on campus. The first year I was able to live on campus. There wasn't as much housing back then. So I only lived on campus 1 year, and then I moved off campus to an apartment. But had a lot of fun on campus. I remember the first year we had a big snowstorm, and the students traipsed across campus and used cafeteria trays to sled on campus. Football games were fun, and hanging out with friends. So had some good times in between studying.
Yeah, those are about the same things that we have fun with here still. Still a lot of time spent studying. I mean, nothing has changed in that culture at Tech.
Right.
And surprisingly, I think the growth has stayed steady with the amount of housing that has increased as well.
Right.
So oftentimes, I mean, a lot of students going into their second year don't have the opportunity to live on campus like they did the first year. So I'm fortunate I get to stay on campus again this year in the old Olympic Village that they had. So that's pretty fun. But what extracurriculars or student organizations did you participate in while you were here at Tech?
Well, I grew up singing in choirs, so I gravitated towards the Georgia Tech chorale. It's funny because I tell people I was in the Georgia Tech chorale, and they say, "Oh, I didn't know Georgia Tech had horses." But it was actually the choral group, and so we had a good time. We sang the alma mater at football games. We were probably the only students that knew all the words to the alma mater. We did other concerts around the city and went on some fun trips as well. So that was probably my main extracurricular activity in between studying. Also, my senior year, I got the opportunity to work part-time at the student athletic complex. And I started out as a lifeguard, and that was a really boring job because you're just watching students swim laps in the pool. But then the director of the athletic complex asked if I wanted to help him in his lab, and he was doing a study about body fat, and he was weighing all kinds of people in this tank underwater, and I got to collect data and help him kind of process that data, and that was really, really interesting. So that was a fun time to work over there the last year.
That's kind of fun. I mean, it's some areas that you don't really think have as much science in them, but actually do.
Yeah.
So where on campus was that athletic center?
Over there on West Campus, where
Still
the Olympics.
same area.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if
changed
they changed locations or anything, but I still have yet to make it over to the campus recreation center since coming to Tech last week, but I've been here for about a week, and I'm looking forward to using the facilities again. But have you been in them since
No.
they've been redone?
No.
Oh wow, it's large.
I know. For the Olympics, they
Yeah.
really expanded it,
Mhm.
right?
And we have a water slide in there that actually it's kind of like a water park water slide.
Oh, wow.
That I don't know when the last time it was renovated, but it's a lot of fun to go down. It just makes you go really fast, and by the last turn, you're facing the water instead of facing the air.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
it's a little scary, but it's a lot of fun. But I mean, the center is definitely, it's great. It's definitely evolved.
I was
over
here during
time.
the days of when they made you take drown proofing
Yeah.
as well, if you've heard about that class. It was filled students with dread, most students, but I was a swimmer, so I actually had fun in the class. But having to swim with a brick around your neck, having to tie up your hands or tie up your feet and float, with just your hands or your feet. It was really a fun class. A holdover from when this was a big Navy school.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that, well, one, I didn't know we were a big Navy school before. I should do some more research on the school. I know we have some of those traditions, like, the rat caps, the Techmobile, or the Ramblin'
The
Wreck.
Ramblin' Wreck,
Yeah. All of the, I haven't ever heard of the school being more naval before, so that's very interesting.
Way back in the day. So they finally, I forget what year, they stopped making the drown proofing class mandatory.
So was that like a general education credit?
It was a physical education class you had to have.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, with my physical education class, it's still a requirement that we have a credit in that. But ours, I took the scientific foundations in health, so I didn't know you could just tie so much science into health, but it was a very interesting course. It was seminar based, so learned a lot of the more nutrition side of things, the mental wellness, all that kind of stuff. And it was actually a pretty engaging class. I was thinking it was just going to be you don't need to worry about it, but it was pretty fun.
I bet.
Well, let's move on to more about your career. So when did you know you wanted to work in the space industry?
So my path to working in space was a little bit, I guess, more unusual. I didn't always want to be an astronaut like some kids growing up. I really didn't plan on, it really wasn't on my horizon at all until my graduating from Georgia Tech. So while I was here on campus in the Georgia Tech Corral, I met my first husband, and he had co-opted with NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville. And so when I graduated, we were engaged to be married right out of school. And he had gone ahead, he graduated before me, and so I was headed to Huntsville. As a chemical engineer, there's no chemical plants in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
So I was looking around trying to figure out what I would do, and long story short, I was fortunate enough to be also hired by Marshall Space Flight Center. So that's how I ended up at NASA and stayed for over 40 years and just retired in May. So it was a great career. I started out working in propulsion.
Marshall's great for that.
I hated it though.
Yeah.
And within about a year, I looked around. The great thing about NASA is you can try different areas and you can do different rotations. And I did a rotation with the group that had just gotten the job to do the life support systems for the space station back in the early design phase.
Yeah.
And that's a bunch of chemical processes, right? ECLS. And recycling air, recycling water, and it's all reactors and filters and all that good stuff. So I did a rotation with that group and loved it and worked it out to stay.
Yeah.
And made that kind of my technical part of my career.
I actually did some personal research on the ECLS system in the ISS, and because I believe just a few years ago they kind of upgraded a portion of the, I think it was the water filtration system.
Yes.
and I was reading about UV treatment added in. But it's interesting how many chambers that all that water has to go through in order to extract as much water and recycle it. Because it goes up to, isn't it 98%?
98% now of all the water's recovered.
That's amazing.
All the water. So urine, sweat, all of that. And yeah, the upgrade was to add that, it's called the brine processor assembly. So after you distill the urine, there's a really concentrated solution left over that you just can't concentrate anymore in the urine processor. And so the brine, it's called brine. The brine processor takes that concentrated solution and extracts even more water from that through a different membrane evaporation process. So that's how we got to 98%. And that's really important for trips beyond low Earth orbit. I mean, it's really helpful for space station, but when you go even further distances, those consumables, as you're learning in your mission here, are really, really critical, particularly on mission to Mars. And you just can't afford to bring all that water with you.
Yeah.
So recycling is really critical. On space station, having that that level of recycling has enabled us to have more crew and more science. So that's how it's been great.
I was also reading that before it was installed, like majority of the payloads were water, and in terms of like weight. So the fuel required to carry all of that water up there was just, I mean, using too much. You can imagine
taking that to Mars, you know, that's
more
and more fuel. So it's really a critical technology, and it's hard to do in space. You think on Earth you could boil water on the stove and you see the steam rise and you see the solids left behind, right? Because you have gravity. But in microgravity, that phase separation is difficult. So we actually have to use centrifugal force and other tricks to separate phases, and it's just all harder in space.
Well, I mean, eventually we want to hopefully establish our own pressurized and self-sufficient habitat long down the road. But we will have our own ecosystem, hopefully, again. But it would be really cool to talk to you more about all that goes into those systems and get more like mentorship from you with that. But today I think we'll focus a little bit more on your most recent role with NASA as director of the International Space Station. I mean, first, when did you first start working with the International Space Station system? So you had ECLSS, and when did you first get involved with the International Space Station?
Way back in the late 80s when I started working on the first life support systems. Back then we were in the very early design phase of the space station program, which went through a whole bunch of iterations and redesigns. So pretty much from the beginning, I was working on the International Space Station. My career took a little bit of a detour in the early 2000s, working on the Orion program. I worked on a program that was canceled called Constellation, and it was NASA's plan to go back to the moon, and a portion of that remained, which is the Orion spacecraft, which is now part of the Artemis architecture. Yeah,
that's really cool.
So I did about 6 years working on, again, the life support and crew systems for the Orion program, and then I got the opportunity to move to NASA headquarters. And when I moved to NASA headquarters, I was once again back working International Space Station, but from a very different environment at NASA headquarters versus down at an engineering field center. So the job there is very different.
Yeah, definitely. Well, can you share a little bit about what being the director of the International Space Station was like?
Yeah, so as director, my job is overall policy, strategy, budget for the program. I was not responsible for the day-to-day operation of the space station. That's the program manager who is down at Johnson Space Center. But at headquarters, I worked with of course, NASA leadership, but also the Congress and also the White House and associated Office of Science, Technology and Policy, Office of Management and Budget, all those executive branch pieces that play a role in shaping policy for what NASA does. So my job was advocating for the budget and sort of steering the direction of the International Space Station plans and future, communicating a lot. I did a lot of briefings. Congress, of course, oversees the agencies, so whenever they want to understand what NASA's doing, I'd be the one to go brief them about those activities. Hey, what's going on? So I had to have an awareness of everything from operations to research in order to be able to communicate and advocate for the program.
That's awesome. I mean, that's kind of here at Southeast Analog in the presidential role, when I will be assuming next week, a lot of it isn't like nitty-gritty planning, but more directional charge and just kind of taking us to the future of this program. So
it's a lot of strategy,
yeah,
which not everybody loves that, but I really did enjoy and still do that kind of big picture. What are we trying to accomplish? How do we get there? Kind of strategy work.
Yeah. So did you ever think that one day you would be the director of the International Space Station? Did that ever dawn on you, or was it something that you were just like, oh, this is like, it's here. I'm now the director of the International Space Station?
More the latter. So I think a common theme whenever you talk to more senior people who are late in their career has been, I never could have plotted my path, right? Although I spent my entire career at NASA, so a lot of that was the same. Actually, I took a lot of different roles. So I started out in subsystem engineering, and then went into system engineering, and then went into technical leadership, and then more executive leadership. And all along the way, I would say a door would open and I would just walk through it. Hey, do you want to do this now? Sure. And so, like I said, it led me to go to NASA headquarters, and once at headquarters, once I was in the Space Station Division, my boss, who was the previous director, sort of mentored me, and I became his deputy. And then when he moved on, I had the opportunity to assume the director role. So no, I didn't plan that out, but it was sort of steps along the way that led to it.
Yeah, it's kind of more like fate than... A
lot more like fate.
Yeah.
And just a willingness to take on a new challenge. When sometimes you don't feel like you have the experience or you're ready for it, but just doing it.
I'm definitely in that place. I mean, Vic, our current president, is a PhD student, and then I'm going into my sophomore year of my undergrad. So there's definitely an experience gap, and it's a bit nerve-wracking. So I can definitely relate to that statement.
When I first went to headquarters, it was a completely different environment than working at an primarily engineering role, leadership and engineering role. It's a much more political environment, much more, hey, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. I mean, I know the answer, but I'm not really sure what the rules are about how to answer that question, for example. And so that sort of political savviness, I had to just watch and learn. And so some of that, you just have to kind of get into it and watch and learn on the go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have you ever been told you can't by anyone? You've accomplished so much, but has anybody tried to limit you? And if so, how did you respond?
I would say yes. And it was more around the culture of a woman in a leadership role.
Absolutely.
In a technical environment in particular. Not from anyone, certainly not from my parents or anyone, you know, my dad actually really encouraged me to go into engineering and pursue that as a career. But once I was at NASA, back in the early days, you can imagine, it's a really male-dominated environment. And particularly in the South. And there was some definite bias against women in the workplace and working mothers. Once I had a family, I got some comments about, oh, you know, you're going to keep working instead of staying home with your children, and some feedback along the way. It's never without, I would say, compromise or even guilt involved in making those choices. Of course I wanted to be home with my children.
Yeah.
But of course I wanted to keep pursuing my career, and just finding that balance, which is a balancing act for whether you're a woman or a man, if you have a family at all, it is a balancing act, is tricky. And it ebbs and flows, and sometimes the job needs more, and sometimes the family needs more, and then it all changes, and the kids are a little older. So it's always trying to do the best you can, and it's never feels perfect. But I'm glad I stuck with it, and my kids turned out great. I wish I could go find the curmudgeons back then that told me I was making a mistake and say, look how it turned out. So I'm glad I stuck with it. I think everybody needs to make their own choices around that, and we just need to support each other, whatever that choice is, versus being judgy.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just amazing to see how you were able to balance all of that so successfully, and kind of reminds me of my own mom. She's balanced a lot throughout her life as well, and she's raised, I mean, I like to think I've turned out pretty great, but I know my siblings have turned out really great, and she's just done a fantastic job along with my dad and stepmom in raising us. So just,
well, I don't know your mom, but I could tell she's done a great job.
Thank you.
Way to go, Mom.
Yeah, shout out to all the moms out there.
Dad, yeah.
And the dads, yeah. What has been the most rewarding moment of your career?
I'd say there's a couple. It's hard to pin that down. Couple moments stand out. The launch, I got to go to the shuttle launch. It was still the shuttle, when we launched the water processor to the space station, and it was 2009. And it was a night launch, and so it was really beautiful, and no delays. It actually went off on time.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's pretty rare in space.
And we got to watch it from Kennedy Space Center with our whole team, and we had bottles of the recycled water we had from our test facility, one of the last tests we had run on the system, to toast with.
That's awesome.
So that was one. I would say another one in my role at headquarters, the space station was only authorized through 2024. And we were coming up on that end date when we realized we needed more time for the International Space Station. So the space station was extended several times, but I was the one in charge of putting together the story about the justification for extending it again, this time to 2030, and what would it take to do that? Technically, is it possible? What would the budget be? What are our international partners who have a stake in it as well? Are they going to also extend along with us? The whole story, and then do a big briefing on that to all of our stakeholders in the White House and in the Congress. And so I had to go over to the White House. I had to do a pretty intimidating briefing in the Vice President's ceremonial office with all the who's in Whoville. And it went well. And not that day, but in the subsequent months, the administration did approve extending stations. So we got our 2030. So that was a highlight, I would say, from my headquarters career.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when that news broke, and I was so excited to see that the International Space Station was going to continue for a few more years. I understand why it has to eventually be retired. I mean, over time, there's been the cracks and everything, and there was that issue with the leak that happened, I think, back in May.
Yeah, that we've had an ongoing leak for a while. Very small leak in a very isolated part of the Russian section of the space station. And part of my job was to do a lot of briefings about that leak.
Yeah.
And so the concern has been growing. Fortunately, that issue has not shown up anywhere else.
That's good.
In any other modules. It's really isolated to that section. So, but everybody's been carefully, we put operations around being safe whenever the crew are in there. But yeah, long term, the space station was not designed to last forever. It has gone longer than originally
seems like that's
designed
a trend.
for, right? We've actually, as parts have gotten upgraded over time, they've gotten more reliable. But the overall structure is we can't replace. And those are limited by dockings and undockings, all these dynamic events, the thermal loads that it goes through, so that it just over time will eventually wear out. Now it can go a good bit longer, but we also want to transition to commercial space stations.
That's what I was going to ask next, is if, to my understanding, that's the main reason why the ISS will eventually be retired, is so that we can kind of hand the torch to private sector.
Yeah, one of the main reasons is NASA's overall strategy has always been to do the hard things that industry might not be ready to do on their own, but bring industry along with us. And then when they get good at it, we hand the torch over to private industry, and then NASA goes, I keep saying we, even it's hard because I'm retired now, but I keep saying we. NASA goes and does the next hard thing. So it's time in low Earth orbit. Private industry is ready to build space stations and operate space stations. They're see what there's a commercial market for. And so the plan is to transition operations over, and then NASA would be a customer, send NASA astronauts and NASA research to those commercial space stations, and then go on and do Moon and Mars. So that's the plan. NASA wants to do it in a smooth way, so that there's not a gap between retiring the International Space Station and continuing operations in low Earth orbit.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading, I think something that you wrote actually on a blog, but I believe you said that this generation, my generation, we've never lived at a time where there wasn't constantly, or where there weren't constantly astronauts in space.
That's right.
Because of the International Space Station.
Right.
And I'd like to keep it that way. It'd be really cool if we could constantly have a space station. I mean, at least for American astronauts in space constantly. And
25, it'll be 26 years in November.
Yeah. That's insane. I mean, I remember the 25-year. I remember the mission patch for the 25-year anniversary from last year. But I'm really excited for the Artemis program that's coming up too. I mean, it's been making such great progress, and especially since it has been put as a priority by the greater government. The Artemis program to me is like the most significant space thing for, I think it's just the most inspiring to me, and it's been a lot of the reason why I've come to Georgia Tech. And I mean, the passion for space was there, but Artemis really pushed me to get to where I wanted to be. And I'm just so excited to continue seeing. I mean, I watched the Artemis 1 launch in my room on a school night at like 1 a.m. But this Artemis 2 launch this past April, I got to watch in this room actually with about 100 other aerospace engineering majors like myself, all excited and waiting anxiously to see it lift off the pad.
Right.
And it's just, it's amazing how...
Such a big rocket, such a big moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Yeah, it was very inspirational and continues to be. And that's part of the mission is to, yes, explore, but also inspire and encourage students like you to go into engineering and be part of it.
Absolutely. Now, for the next question, this is kind of related to what you were just saying, but what would you like to tell the next generation of space explorers?
Oh my gosh, it's such an exciting time. And it's changing so fast, right? The number of companies
It's
who are
exponential.
getting exponential every day. New companies involved, new startups, not only building rockets and satellites, but doing the research, which I find just really, all the research that I think is going to benefit life here on Earth, some of the medical research, some of the advanced materials, just all of these exciting, we're just on the cusp of this really expanding. And so it's just a great time to be a student and going into this area. So I'm excited for those students. I would, like for me and my experience, just be open to all kinds of opportunities. Doors open, don't be afraid to walk through them. Don't feel like you have to plan your perfect path. I think in my experience, your passions will somehow find you. And so you don't have to worry too much about that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go with a fun question.
Okay.
So I hear you've taken up cheese making in the past few years. Was it around COVID time when that happened?
It was.
Yeah. Can you tell us how you got into that?
Well, as a chemical engineer, my husband and I actually had started out making wine, just homemade wine from juice you can buy, and grape juice, and so what goes better with wine than cheese? And so we were home during COVID, had a little extra time, and I got interested in trying to see if I could make some cheese. So I just started playing around with it, got a book and ordered a bunch of the cultures, freeze-dried cultures, and all the equipment to start making cheese in my home kitchen. While I was doing that, and the reason it got out there in the news is because I had commented on a cheese-making blog with a question, because one of the tricky parts about making cheese is how do you age it at the very specific temperature and humidity conditions that it wants to be aged at. And so I asked a question on a blog, hey, I see you're using an old wine fridge. Me too. How are you controlling the humidity in there? And that led to these people reaching out to me and saying, oh, are you making cheese? Can we interview you? And I said, oh, I'm barely making cheese. Like these other people have, like, farms and, lots and lots of, like, seriously, no, I'm such an amateur. But I said, I work for NASA, I'm just doing this as a hobby. Oh, you work for NASA? And you're making cheese? They just even got more interested. So I agreed to do this sort of interview back and forth, and they put out a piece in their blog about the ISS director making cheese.
Yeah.
And I took a goofy picture in my space station shirt with my cheese.
Yeah, not quite rocket science, but definitely, synthesis.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun to see how the process works and to make something that actually tastes good. Lots of trial and error.
Yeah, definitely.
Like everything.
I'm going to be learning how to do some crocheting with some of those beginner crochet kits here soon. So I'm excited for that. And in a little bit of embroidery. It's just, it's fun to pick up new hobbies.
It is. A different part of your brain, too.
Yeah. Especially when everything's so technical all the time. It's fun to just unwind with something that's creative.
Exactly. Yeah. Good for you.
Well, we have, as we wrap up the talk show, we want to give you two things. So first, we have the C1 Thalassa mission patch that we'd like to give you. Has the names of our crew members on there.
Awesome.
And then we also have a Southeast Analog flight tag. Remove Before Flight. These were actually imported from France from the company Remove Before Flight. So
nice. I
we worked
see everybody
with them.
with the red ones on their luggage, but now I'm going to be unique with this one on my luggage. That's special. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
so excited about your mission.
Thank you.
And what I got to hear about it. So good luck with the rest of it.
Thank you.
And look forward to hearing all the results.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll send them your way. And we've just been honored to have you here today, visiting our Mission Control Center and just learning about the amateur NASA-inspired project that we have going on. So we're really excited to advance it with the experiences and the knowledge that we gain from people like you, and just really grow this into something meaningful to the greater analog community and hopefully greater space community as well.
Absolutely. You guys are learning stuff that I think NASA could benefit from as well.
Yeah.
So good job.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll get one of our public affairs officers to escort you off the show and finish up your time in our mission control. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great to speak with you today.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Yes. All right. Joey? All right. And I am moving around with my little Mars light behind me.
It's on the back of your chair.
All right. And you can just follow him.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Thank you. All right, for our next segment of the show, we are just going to give a little bit of a recap on what happened yesterday on Sol 5 of the mission.
Oh, nice. It's actually...
So, Sol 5 is the halfway point of our mission. We had the official commander and comms officer changeover that happened last night, which means that Commander Galloway is now Crew Communications Officer Galloway, and Crew Communications Officer Karako is now Crew Commander Karako. So they swapped their roles. This was initially a research project, but we decided to stick with it afterwards because it was a very interesting idea, and we wanted to see how things would turn out and how that role adjustment would look. So we actually will have some interview footage later on from astronauts Karako and Galloway, where they will give us some insights into that fun experience that they had. We also had an EVA with the ARAS rover. This rover went with the crew engineers outside the habitat so that they can evaluate more of what the system is doing. And PI Panugupati went on that EVA with the robot. So it's kind of fun to have one of our experts of the research on site doing the research themselves. So very interesting. We'll have some more discussion on that later on in the show with, again, an interview from crew engineer Panugupati and crew engineer Blackman. So they'll give us some pretty good insights into that. We also want to inform you that with our research coverage, we'll do a lot of heavy research coverage after the mission on some of the progress of that, but we will be mainly focusing on just the EVAs and what the astronauts are doing on those EVAs so that we can see more of their perspectives rather than what's going on exactly with the research in this moment. We'll also give you an update that the crew now has footage allotments in their time schedules, so they'll be able to make content that's really interesting for us to share with you. So we're excited to see the creativity that they bring with that. We also have some really cool photos from the EVA yesterday that we'll be able to share soon. So stay tuned for that. But now, Jacob, can I get a status on where Vic is? All right, it sounds like we have our president coming in to give an interview on her experiences in growing Southeast Analog into what it is today. So in just a few moments, we'll have her on the show. But for now, I'm going to take a look and see if we have any questions. It doesn't look like we have any questions at the moment, but if you do have any questions, again, we encourage you to leave them in the comments. We'd love to answer some questions throughout the show and just kind of clear up some communication or get some more information out there regarding the mission. So now, Vic, would you like to join me on the show?
Yes. Let me make sure this mic is on.
Is that good, Jacob?
Cool. Hopefully this is working for you.
All right. So again, we just had a great interview with Robin Gattens, and now we get a great interview with you.
Yeah. Probably not as great, but hopefully I can give you something.
It'll be a lot of fun. Okay. So first, I want to just ask you, when did you know you wanted to go into space exploration?
This is an interesting question because I find a lot of people who want to go into space. You were talking earlier about it's in your blood and you know you want to do it your entire life, and a lot of people are like, they dreamed of this since they were a kid. I didn't know I wanted to go into space until about 3 years or so ago.
Really?
Yeah.
During your undergraduate studies?
It was after my undergraduate.
After your undergraduate studies?
Is when I knew I wanted to go into space.
Wow. Career changes happen all the time, so.
I think I knew I wanted to. I think I have a lot of self-doubt in myself and a little bit of fears, and so I think I kind of wanted to, but I kind of curbed those once because I wanted to not fail more than I wanted to work in space exploration, so I really kind of curbed those feelings. So my undergrad, I did mechanical engineering, not aerospace engineering, because that was rocket science, and I was not smart enough to be a rocket scientist. So
here you are today, your PhD.
Yes, and I was smart enough to maybe work on airplanes, but not rockets and space stuff, because you have to be the best of the best to work on that. And so I did my whole undergrad. I actually got to hear from Robin Gattens in my undergrad at an event she went to, and I thought what she did was so cool, and my dream was to get to work on space habitats one day, and the ISS has been a space habitat my entire life, actively running and going. And so I applied to do aerospace engineering, and I wrote my entire application essay all about aircraft and all about aircraft manufacturing. And then that year I got into the aerospace PhD, and I got chosen as a Brooke Owens Fellow. During my undergrad as well, I did some pilot training, and I also did a bit of scuba training. And it was at the Brooke Owens Fellowship Summit that Emily Calendari, the space gal, I just happened to sit with her at a dinner, and she was like, so you're planning on going into space exploration, you're planning on submitting, an application to work at NASA, and if you keep doing your, aerospace PhD, your flight and dive training, being the person you are, you're a Brooke Owens Fellow at the summit here, you're gonna submit an astronaut application one day. And I laughed at Emily Calendari, and I told her she was very unrealistic, and that I had never thought about that because I don't think about silly fantasies. And she told me that based on what she knew about me, that those things were not silly, and having her and others and my PhD advisor, and now a lot of you guys and Georgia Tech.
You have a lot of little kids running around following you now.
And also being a NASA intern and knowing that at least they believe in me to that extent. A lot of people have believed in me before I could believe in myself, and now these past 3 years I was allowed to have that dream, and people have reaffirmed that my dreams are not crazy.
I think this is a pretty common experience too. I mean, like, I always felt that as a Nebraska student, I didn't really belong at, like, I wouldn't be able to get into Georgia Tech because it's such a small, like, there's practically no aerospace in Nebraska. I mean, we have airplanes and flying and everything, but we don't have rockets. We have the Strategic Air Command Museum, and also like some of those things in Air Force bases, but we don't have like space.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of, again, that feeling of you don't have the actual confidence in yourself until other people believe in you first.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's how I felt going into the president role. You have been an amazing mentor because you've believed in me and you've really helped me believe that I can do this the same way Vic, a PhD student in aerospace engineering, can.
But yeah, I mean, I'm from the UK and I also had no aerospace growing up internationally, really. Even aviation in the US, I mean, Air Force bases and these high-tech airplanes are not what the rest of the world experiences. The UK's space agency in comparison to NASA is so different, and I think like any international student who has grown up overseas, whether they work in aviation or the space side, like they just had a different idea of what their future would really be growing up. And I admire so many international students who continue to aspire to greatness, even if their country has never even had a single astronaut, their country doesn't even have a space agency at all, and they're really trying to aspire and make contributions in this industry, because at least I am half American, at least I was born in the US even though I grew up in the UK, so that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been very inspiring hearing your story just throughout my time at Southeast Analog and then also here today. But how do you feel, so like you've worked so hard to develop this organization and this mission as well. How do you feel C1 Thalassa is going?
I'm so proud of everyone, and I'm proud of the work that's led up to here, other than the mission itself. I do theater, and I feel like people are like, how do you feel now that it's opening night and blah, blah, blah. And it's like 95% of the work is all the tech departments building the set and building the costumes and all of the rehearsals. And then by the time you go in and you do the show, it's like, I've done this so many times. It's like, whatever. And so I think the mission's going well because so much prep has gone into it. And similarly to a show, if you don't rehearse, then those shows really are like, how's it going? But it's like, well, we did the work we needed to put into this, and now we're getting to see preparedness. Obviously, nothing in the mission has been perfect. We're dealing with 20-minute communications delays, so.
And real communication, troubleshooting, all that.
Yeah, but I think we've done the work we need to put in. That now, at least on my shift, and I'm night shift, it kind of just feels like a little going through the motions that I've been trained to do.
Yeah. We always have some fun discussions whenever there's a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
So what inspired this organization? You are like credited as one of 3 founders, but the person who brought the idea forward.
Yeah, so what created this organization, and I think some people sometimes don't realize how lucky I was in terms of timing with this organization. So the first kind of timing luck, I would say, is that Dr. Carr offered his first ever bioastronautics seminar. And in that class was me, Sarah, and Alan as 3 students. And just about 2-3 months earlier, I was selected to be an analog astronaut with the Asclepios analog mission, which kind of got me familiar with a little bit of these ideas because I had gone through their 6-month application process, reading a bunch of things, and then was in it for about 2 months. And I had done it and was about to travel to Switzerland a ton, and I had spoken with other students who had paid for analogs overseas and analogs that were like thousands of dollars out of their own personal money, which I thought was insane to ask a student to do. And so I kind of brainstormed with me, Alan, and Sarah, and we're like, wouldn't it be cool if for our final project, and me and Alan and Sarah all semester had these like 30-minute conversations after class in the hallway. So a lot of that is I was just lucky they offered that course, and I was just really lucky that Alan and Sarah were in that course. But part of that is also creating your own luck. I looked this up because I wanted to talk about this, and here is only 15 students took that class that semester.
Yeah.
And there are over 600 grad students in aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. So I was really lucky that that course was being offered, but also I chose to be one of the 15 students to enroll in that class that anyone could have enrolled in. And that led me to look into bioastronautics, to create a relationship with Dr. Carr, who's now our faculty advisor, to create those relationships with Sarah and Alan, to talk about analog space missions and do that final project with Sarah and Alan. Then the final project finished, and it was a folder that got sat on Canvas, and there wasn't a name behind it. It was like the Georgia Tech potential analog we could do. Then I went and did the Asclepios analog. I did my NASA internship, and I kind of realized, wait, this is not just an idea that maybe someone picks up later out of a file and does it. This is something we can do, and this is something we can do now. So I kind of talked to Alan and Sarah, and I convinced them that this was not just our final project, this was now a multi-year long project, and we were executing it, and that I had a name for it and had started floating it as an idea around other people. And then I put out an interest form because before I wanted to actually properly do anything, I wanted to make sure there was anyone interested in it. I got quite a lot of interest of people wanting to be on leadership, so I started giving people phone calls and Zoom calls after they filled out that they were interested. Leslie talked about her call with me yesterday, and it was really, a lot of those people were some people who I had heard of. I had heard of Leslie and was super impressed with all she had done at the School of Aerospace Engineering as just a first year, and everything she had even done in high school. And so I knew that no matter what she was doing, I wanted on my team. And a lot of these people had amazing reputations that I knew of, and so I knew I wanted to make a dream team, and I think that we were able to execute this mission because we had so many talented people who gave hours of extreme talent. Yeah.
Yeah, was that the same interest form that was after the GTAIAA meeting?
No, these were different interest forms because that was when we were still looking for leadership. So once leadership was established, then I was like, I have a team and I have people with roles behind them. And then after that, I had the AIAA interest meeting, and then we talked and sent out the Space Research Institute grant. And the Space Research Institute grant, getting that first $8,000 from Dr. Reedy was the point where I think everything started to change in our brains of,
it changed our brain chemistry. I remember when it came out and we were all just like, this mission is happening.
Yes, yeah, because that was, hey, with $8,000, we could potentially do a bare minimum. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but right after that GTAIAA meeting, I was talking with you and I was talking with Sarah, and I filled out that form on my phone and attached my resume, and I filled out the form wrong. I filled it out wrong because it was select your top 3, I think.
Yes.
And I just selected pretty much all of them, I think.
A lot of people filled out that form wrong, and we went through. A lot of it was like, pick your first through third, and then we could very obviously tell from people's answers they like chose their least favorite thing. I think it was like rank 1 to 10, 1 being best,
yes.
10 being worse.
Yes, I only did my first 3.
And then a lot of people had like 10 as their best, and then we very quickly realized because they would put 1 and then they'd put definitely don't put me on this team, and we were like, okay, they flipped it. Let's.
Hopefully our form will be a little. Hopefully we won't have that same issue with our onboarding forms.
As someone who's sent forms out, whenever you have a 1 through 10 scale, there's always going to be like a minimum of 5% of people who flip it.
Well, I mean, today or in our upcoming interview, we asked the astronauts on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm not an astronaut and 10 being amaze, with a thumbs down emoji as their scale for how they're feeling about the mission.
That's good.
So,
that's good. What's in between those two?
I would maybe say, ooh, that's a good question. Glasses.
Oh, like halfway.
Glasses, that would probably be the halfway.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, like you're engaged, but like you're standoffish.
Okay.
We love our Project Hail Mary references.
Yeah. Have you told them about how we got to see an early preview with the Space Research Institute?
Yeah. So one of the perks of being an aerospace engineering student at Georgia Tech is when you have these big sci-fi films come out, you get a lot of great promotional opportunities from them. And one of those promotional opportunities was the Georgia Tech Space Research Institute was inviting aerospace engineering students to come see Project Hail Mary before it released in theaters, granted permission by the production company. So they had early access to it, and we got to see it at a Regal Cinema or AMC, just one of the main movie theaters in Atlanta, and we really had a great time. And some of us posed like Rocky, and it was a great outing that really increased the bond of Southeast Analog.
Yeah, and I think like we are doing a lot of intense training, which I was going to talk about a bit later, but there's like getting pizza together, there's seeing movies together, there's, you know, watching The Martian together that one night. So just the fun parts of being a student club. So yeah, we get to have fun. I mean, even on console we have these mascots. Yesterday I built a Lego astronaut, and its legs are movable, so I put the Lego astronaut on the capybara stuffed animal that we have at the public affairs desk, and it's like he's riding it like a cowboy. So we have our fun little things. A ton of other little trinkets have been brought in. So we have fun in our Mission Control Center, because why should we be serious all the time? We accomplish what we need to accomplish, but we do it while we're having fun. As someone on night shift, I can say that. And night shift's a lot of like
kazoo.
Sit. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Sit, have fun, and then there's a problem. No more fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit like the scene from Monsters vs. Aliens at the beginning, when they're just kind of like sitting around playing games, and then they get an alert and they're like, we actually have a situation. But instead we're calm and we're going through and we're just doing flight PAO kind of or flight CTO, you know, just that communication that really shows the professionalism, but also that we're having a good time. But talking about some of those good times, what has been your favorite memory of the development of this mission?
Yeah, I think favorite memory. I think selection weekend was fun.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was fun.
Selection weekend was fun for me.
Yeah.
But I think seeing, all of these amazing people really fly out and getting to meet them for the first time and spend that much time with them and get to know them, and for the first time. Obviously, every time I've spent with the crew, with you guys, because pretty much all of our organization at that point was there at that weekend, helping with that weekend, is fun. Getting to just hang out with you guys for a weekend and meet all of them for the first time, and really have our first I'd say, intense in-person event was quite cool, and fun for me. Probably not fun for the astronauts. Probably very hard for them.
Yeah. Well, they had a good time, I think, judging by their morale and the feedback that we received from them. Overall, they had a pretty good time. But if you talk about bear crawls, they will go on a rant.
But because I remember like my own analog astronaut selection weekend that I had in Switzerland was one of the hardest but also most fun and rewarding weekends of my life because of what it required of me and because of the interactions I had. And I hope I was able to maybe recreate some of that for them. And it's one of those things that you don't get the opportunities in life to do very hard. And I wish I had more opportunities. I know it's hard in the moment of like that type B fun where it's like incredibly difficult in the moment. And then it's like you realize it's the best experience ever. And I don't think I get enough of that in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really hard to create these unique experiences, but when you have those unique experiences, it's like, I'm so glad I put in the work for that. Especially with, I mean, for me personally, with the gala, that took years off my life planning with that. And I can probably say for Issa that was the same situation. Very stressful to plan, but as soon as it got here, it was just it was such a great night. I was elated for days. And like this mission has been the same way. Like it's been so stressful to put together because there's so much that goes into a 10-day mission. With just like, especially in just 11 months, there's so much that goes into it. So us working and putting in all the hours and then finally seeing the rewards, it's like a feeling that's unmatched.
Yeah, and I'm so glad, again, I cannot express enough gratitude for the talented people around me. And the talented people, they could be doing so much with that talent, but they're choosing to do this. And you and Issa taking that gala weekend was without you and Issa, there wouldn't have been a gala weekend. I couldn't have handled it, and I couldn't have even pushed other people to do it. And so I'm so glad that you guys really took that on, because it was an amazing moment for the organization.
It really was. We got to meet a lot of really cool people, and we had a great fundraising night. We got a lot of support for the mission, and it was something that it wasn't something we regretted, and something that we're looking forward to doing again for sure. But can you pinpoint the funniest moment of C1 Thalassa so far?
Oh!
I have my own ideas, but I'd like to hear yours.
Well, on console, I guess you meant. I was preparing a funny moment during training. So it's hard for me to think of a moment on console.
You can say with training if you want.
I'll say something really quick. I don't get as many funny moments as you guys, I think, because I'm on night shift. But one time at night shift, I had to take 2 and leave the room, and I came back and I saw no one was at their desks and they were dancing. And I was like, what has happened in the 1 minute and 45 seconds that I've been gone that everyone is up and dancing? And if you go onto the live stream of, I think, 2 nights ago.
It was right in front of the camera.
And it's like 8 minutes into the live stream. Because I checked, because I called them out for it last night, and I was like, oh, I wonder how this got on the live stream.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are all of the flight controllers up and dancing right now? But of the training, I think the hiking weekend mainly, because I can laugh at myself, but I think it was very funny driving out there, because we did hiking on the Appalachian Trail, and we did a segment of it. And I've never been to segments of the Appalachian Trail that have not been like the main start point, because we're in Georgia, that has nice parking lots and roads. And so I thought all of the Appalachian Trail was like that. Turns out, most of the way you get on the Appalachian Trail if you're going between segments is basically off-roading. So we had 3 cars. We had my car, which...
Your car is not built for off-roading, I know that.
My car is not built for off-roading. We had one of our Capcoms, like proper kind of Jeeps going on. And then, you know what car is even worse for off-roading than my car?
What?
Alan's Tesla.
Oh, that is so true.
So Alan,
oh no,
we got to spend like a while, and one of the things they're like, our training was overnight. It wasn't really meant to be overnight, but
it
we
just
were
took so
dealing
long to
with
get
it.
there.
So I went up one. There was like 3 routes that came together at a point from where we were going from, and I went down one route, which was probably the best route. And then Fran went down one route, which was probably the second best route. And then Alan in his Tesla goes down the worst route. And they have to get out of his car to move a tree that's in front of his car. And then they get like 30, 40 minutes down and they get to a ditch. And they have to turn around and then go down the route that I went down. And so that's one of the reasons we're like, they were so hardcore and they hiked in the dark.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this too.
It's because Alan was in his Tesla and he kept trying to use self-driving on the Tesla to go off-roading, and I think that's really silly, and I think also part of the trail.
I wonder what the scanning looked like.
Yeah, I think
as you pass
also
everything.
Part of the trail that was hilarious is, so I, as one of the older members of this organization, as the founder and president, I would say generally people tend to look up to me to an extent and respect me. It was like 2 a.m. and I totally led people down a completely wrong path on the Appalachian Trail, and we had to totally turn around, and so I think I'm able to laugh at myself in the moment and be like, you totally steered everyone the wrong way, and like laugh at myself and my mistakes there, because I was like, it's this way, let's go, and it was not that way. And I definitely kept everyone a little late last night, and instead of being upset at myself, I think me and hopefully the rest of the crew and astronaut training team who was there that night can hopefully laugh at me not being able to read a map. Like, I can start this and get a PhD in aerospace, hopefully, but maybe I'll work on my map reading skills.
Yeah, I think we talked about map reading actually at the beginning of the mission, which is kind of funny. But, I mean, thanks to all of the events that happened that night, we got some really great vlogs and raw footage from the astronauts, so it ended up being a great media opportunity for us as PAOs.
Oh, and I think it was a great training, and I think they got to eat freeze-dried food for the first time.
I liked the reviews.
They had to learn how to, go as a team out in the wild with like really no internet or cell service with these heavy packs on them, which was something that are now skills they're using. But I think a lot of the things that happened in that weekend were quite ridiculous, and those were some of that.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Yeah, thank you
and providing
for having
some
me.
insight. Yeah,
I had a hard guest to follow, so hopefully I tried my best.
You did really well.
Thank you so much for hosting this.
Absolutely. Well, I'll see you the rest of the mission, but you're done with your shift today, correct?
I am done. So I'm going home. Part of being on night shift means I get to sleep like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. every day. It slowly gets later. At some point it was like 4 p.m. to midnight. So
hey, at least by the end of the mission it will be closer to what a normal sleep schedule would be.
Have you talked to people on A shift?
Oh, they're
I'm
hating
curious
it. They're hating it.
Because I had the worst at the start and it's getting better, but they're getting worse as time goes on. So.
I can't say us public affairs officers have to deal with that.
Well, you guys are in here at like 6 in the morning, so it's not like it's that easy.
Yeah, I mean.
The last day you'll come in here before I will.
Well, the last day I'll be in here at like 1 p.m.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, well, the astronauts will be sleeping, but we'll cover that egress, and we'll have a lot of fun media here that we're excited for, and some fun events happening. So if you really want to tune into our talk show, I would recommend on the 18th. That's our big wrap up, and we'll have a lot of fun things going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you as well. And thank you over here for helping.
Our off-scene people. All right, Wendy, do you want to join me and we'll go through some of those astronaut interviews that we had come in yesterday? All right, how are you doing, Wendy? Do you want to get your earpiece in?
Yeah.
All right, are you getting your mic turned on? All the nitty-gritty details of putting this together. But, oh, my neck is sore today. I should sleep better.
Yeah.
Mics are on. Is it good, Jacob? Can you double check to see if your mic is
can you just speak in
on?
Oh yeah, sure. Hello everybody, I guess.
Are you hearing her? Is the pack on?
Yeah.
Or is it a bad battery?
What about right now?
Receiver.
It's not sending signal.
Okay.
Okay.
Jacob's hearing. All right. Perfect. Thank you for bearing with us as we get some technical difficulties sorted out of the way. This talk show, if you were here for the first one, you can tell that it's definitely improved throughout the course of the mission.
Yeah, for sure. On Sol 6 for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We started on time today, which is great, and we'll continue to do that throughout the rest of the mission. We've just been making adjustments as time has gone on, and we're really happy about the progress we've been making. Let's get into the astronaut interviews. So let's look at that first clip that we have.
Okay.
Okay. We'll hear that in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
And today we'll be doing a quick interview. So our first question is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I am not an astronaut and 10 being amaze, amaze, amaze. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great this morning. It's we're about halfway through the mission, and it's been a really immersive experience to kind of live in the simulation for already half, which it's hard to believe that we're already half of the way through this mission. But I'm really looking forward to the remainder of it, and I'm feeling very optimistic.
Yeah, I'm also feeling good this morning. I feel like we're really getting into our routine a little bit more, and we know what each day consists of and what we have to do specifically in the morning when we're getting up. And I think we're getting faster and just staying on schedule, which is great.
Awesome. I mean, like, that was definitely something that I was... A lot of what they're saying is true to the Mission Control Center.
For sure. I know, like we just said, we are also having like a really good learning curve. We're getting better at things, and it's also good to hear that they're experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, of course, the main purpose of this mission is kind of proving that we can do it, and by doing that, we're also learning as we go.
Yeah.
And we're really excited to see the report that comes after the mission. And I guess now we can just take a look at the second question and hear how they're feeling about the changeover.
Oh, sure.
Okay, our next question is, today you'll be swapping roles with one another. What are your current thoughts about this? So just for some context, I am currently serving as the commander, and Sophie is currently serving as our communications officer. But one of the things Southeast Analog is doing is we are going to switch roles at the end of today. So then I will be the communications officer for the rest of the mission, and Sophie will be the commander. So what are your current thoughts about this?
I'm really looking forward to this. One of the reasons that we're doing this is so that we can study how a crew and a team reacts to a change in leadership and a change in roles partway through. I'm really looking forward to it myself because I think it will be very interesting to be able to experience two different roles within a crew and kind of be able to see both sides. I think for both of us, it'll make us better able to understand how a crew reacts and how a crew functions as a team.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you said it super well. I think it's really interesting. I've definitely never done anything like this, so it is cool to train for both positions and then execute one and then another, but completely separate during those times. So excited to see how it goes.
Awesome. I mean, I was really excited to hear about the crew changeover.
Oh, for sure. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is very interesting. I think we'll be able to experience the crew having to be adaptable to new roles halfway through the mission. You know, you get comfortable halfway through the mission, then, oh, let's do the switch. So I think I'm really looking forward to that and seeing how much they'll be adaptable. And I think we'll also get to see how trained, if we train them well for this change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, especially since one of the things in a real Mars mission, of course, it's months travel away. So sending a replacement of somebody takes a long time. So if you ever have one of your crew end up in a position where they need to recover, they can't be in command, or they can't just be, like, you need to have people trained to be able to step into those roles. And so having this changeover helps us kind of understand a little bit on what that kind of looks like. And if there were to be a scenario like that where you do have to assume somebody else's role and really change your perspective on a mission, you have to be able to adapt to that. So again, like you were saying, it's really interesting to see how the adaptability of the crew is.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've definitely shown that throughout the training. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the mission goes with Sophie, Karako in command and Amanda Galloway in communications.
I think the most interesting part about all this is they are both in leadership roles. So having to see how, you know, them changing roles and taking each other's roles, like, what's the level of will it affect the mission? How will it affect the mission?
Yeah, the impact.
Yeah, is it positively, negatively? Will it be the same? I think that's a very good study when you think about, like, analog missions. We do them just so that we are able to get ready for long-term space missions. So I think this is a very good thing that SEA did. Yeah, and I think it will give us more perspective on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope in the future that, I know this started out as a research project and then it kind of turned into more of just what we're doing because some things had to change logistically. But I hope in the future we can have another research project like this so we can officially study and document and publish the effects that come from changing those roles.
For sure.
Especially when there's like a little bit of a hierarchy in terms of the roles, because somebody is in command, they have to make sure that everybody is doing what they need to do, the mission is being accomplished.
Yes.
And then somebody in communications, like, just those different, everybody has such an important role, but everybody has such a vastly different role as well.
Yes.
So really seeing how people change and overcome those challenges that come with switching your role in the middle of a mission.
For sure. Do you want to go to the next question?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Our next question is, what has been the greatest thing you have learned from your current roles, and what do you hope to learn in your new roles?
For me personally, as I'm serving as the Chief Communications Officer for the past 5 sols, I have learned a lot about what it takes to communicate what it is that we're doing here back to MCC. And it's very easy to forget that MCC has less information than you think that they do. And it's hard for us when we're experiencing the problems and the everything that's going on in the habitat. It's very easy to think, oh, MCC knows this, to make assumptions about that. But what I have learned is that it is so important to be able to very clearly give MCC more information than you think that they need, because they are all at Georgia Tech. They're working so hard to keep us all safe. They're working so hard to make this mission possible, and they do require from us that we trust them and we are giving them the information that they need.
Yeah, awesome. I think for me, the most important thing I've learned in this role was something I wasn't necessarily expecting. Obviously, I think I came into this knowing that as the commander, it is my responsibility to just ensure that the crew is safe, on task, executing everything at the correct times, and I'm delivering the correct information to everyone. But I think the greatest thing I've learned is just advocating for my crew. So if they have concerns, they come to me, and then I make sure I either tell Sophie to tell MCC, or I uplink that information via email, and then they get it, 20 minutes later. And so I think the most important thing that I have learned is making sure that I can be someone that the crew feels comfortable sharing their concerns with, and then I can advocate for them and hopefully address the issue and solve it.
I mean, there you have it, the teamwork that they have to rely on to really make sure that everything is going according to plan with the mission, and also adapting when there are those challenges thrown in.
I love the fact that we get to see or even hear from them how confident they're getting in their own roles, and I think that is very, very important. And they make it easy for them and also for MCC, and also being able, I think it seems like they're communicating well between each other. There's good coordination between each other, and I think that's one of the biggest success of this mission.
Yeah, especially since, there's always there's a lot of stress put on us, especially at the early parts of the mission, and being able to communicate what is really causing a lot of that stress is so critical in resolving the issues and making sure that morale stays up. And it's just amazing that we've all been able to adapt and overcome some of these challenges and make sure that we're all being heard and listened to. And the two, especially the crew communications officer and the crew commander, both of those roles are so critical in advocating and also relaying information and making sure that transparency is at the core of what our practices are between each other. Because communications officer, now commander, Karako was saying, it's a lot of trust, and being able to them trust Mission Control Center and us trust them to be able to accomplish what we need them to accomplish and to keep each other safe and in our best interests. It's so critical that we have these roles. And I mean, they definitely phrased it how I would probably experience it.
Yeah, I think also the most important part about all this is when you think about analog mission, one of the things that you have to think about is the autonomy of the crew, and it seems like they're doing well. I mean, they seem like they understand their role, they've taken up their role, it's getting better, and now that they're switching, we will also get to experience that, because when you think about also like a 20-minute delay, if something happened, they need to be able to be by themselves and kind of solve issues by themselves. But I feel like how they're communicating through these interview questions and these daily updates, it seems like they're working well with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just really excited to see how they take on each other's roles for the rest of the mission.
For sure, yeah.
All right, well, let's hear the next question.
So next, this is our last question. So how have you learned from one another before switching roles?
Yeah, absolutely. So Amanda has done an absolutely incredible job as crew commander, and she's leaving some very big shoes to fill. But one thing that I have learned, which I think we all already had a pretty good grasp on before, but learning it in this very immersive experience is something that's very new, is just the importance of leadership. And when you are doing a space mission, having someone who is able to make the final call is so crucial, because when you are actually on the moon, when you are actually on Mars, things can go south very, very quickly. And there isn't always time for everyone to say, for everyone to have a huge discussion about it. Sometimes you just have to make the best decision that you can. And that's true of the crew. That's also true of mission control. And it is something that is very important to have someone who can take advice from the crew, who knows how to advocate for the crew and is still confident enough to make the final call. And I think Amanda has done such an incredible job about that with the crew and also communicating with MCC.
Thanks. For you, I think I have learned just exactly what needs to be said to MCC in order for us to actually successfully execute things, which, unless you're us here or you're hearing the voice loops, that sounds easier than it really is. It is so hard. And especially with this 20-minute delay. So you can ask a question, 20 minutes later, MCC will hear it. And then 20 minutes later, they will respond to it. So it's 40 minutes until we get an answer. So if your question is not as specific as possible, with as much detail as possible, with all of the information that they could possibly need, you just cannot have a productive conversation. And so I think I have really learned from Sophie over these last few days of what exactly needs to be said and how it needs to be said in order for us to actually productively rely on MCC and get the information we need to actually execute the things that we are doing, rather than constantly going back and forth and not getting enough clarification. And I think as a whole, we struggled with it a little bit in the beginning just because we were all learning. But Sophie very quickly learned what needs to be done for us to best communicate with MCC. And then it has been very smooth since. I think you've done a great job with that. And I think that is all of our questions for today. So we hope you enjoyed watching, and you'll hear from our crew engineers shortly.
Awesome. I mean, like, from what I was hearing from them, I love the mentorship that happens in Southeast Analog, that we're all able to learn from each other.
Yeah.
But especially, I loved hearing that they really emphasized the trust that they have to have in each other as well as in Mission Control Center, based on the limited information because of the time delay.
Oh yeah, I think I love the fact that they are appreciating each other's work, and I feel like that talks more about the team dynamics, and that is what exactly we want for this mission.
Exactly. The team is very close, and I'm really glad that they are able to get close throughout these trainings and come to trust each other in a way that's so unique, especially since they've only had they've had a few times together based on like the trainings, but like living with a bunch of people who you've met only a few times before in person for 10 days is such a brave thing to do, and they've all done such a great job at doing it. So
yeah, I think the training, honestly, when you think about it, they got to quote unquote suffer through the training.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of brings you together. You got to experience they have kind of something. Now they are kind of bruising through, you know, the whole experience. But I think the training was a very big and a huge made a huge impact on how they're feeling right now and how good they're working right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was really glad to be able to hear from them. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to see how well the mission will go once they switch the roles. And I think one of the good things that they'll be able to experience is seeing the mission from a different perspective. And it's like, imagine you right now, you start working for Capcom. So I feel like that will give you like a really another perspective for this mission and being able to appreciate this mission as a whole. Because you've been training as PAO all this while. Now you imagine switching roles halfway through the mission.
I know, it'd be so crazy. I wouldn't be able to do it. So they're doing much better than we are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right, well, let's hear it from the crew engineers on the ARAS rover.
Oh, yeah.
So our first question is that we have an EVA scheduled for today, and what are we most looking forward to?
Yeah, so today's EVA should be pretty interesting. So if you guys recall from Sol 2, we ran a rover project, the ARAS rover. So today is the part 2 of this experiment, and we're going to be doing a few more runs. Pretty similar, just doing a circle, but this time we're also hopefully going to add a figure 8 formation to see how well the rover runs. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. Trying to get some of the science done is really cool. Another thing that I think we're both looking forward to is that the EVA suit design team has just done a really awesome job with creating our suits. They're super cool, and when we put them on and we go outside, especially at night, it totally feels like we are on another planet. You really can't see our surroundings super well, and so it's a lot of fun, and it sort of makes you think about what it could be like to go and walk around on Mars, which is really cool.
Yeah, this is my first time doing an EVA so far this mission, so it is pretty exciting to see what it's going to be like outside. So
It's a lot of fun.
I always get so excited hearing their insights into the EVAs that they have, because that's like my favorite thing on any mission is seeing them exit the vehicle that they're staying in or the habitat that they're staying in, and
suits and everything.
Yeah. It's like the classic astronaut
For sure.
kind of image that you get. You don't really picture an astronaut without a suit on, unless if you've been watching ISS footage or footage of the Artemis crew, like just that media that shows them in their flight suits, or just even like a polo and khakis, you know, like you don't really think. I love to see them in their astronaut suits, especially with the helmets that they have that we've built. And it's just amazing to see just like how they handle these EVAs.
Yeah, and I like the fact that one of our PIs of our research is also part of the crew.
Exactly.
So I'm very, 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 like, I'm sure Umesh is really very good. Like, he's so excited about the whole mission. Imagine being part of the crew and also being, your research is also part of the mission.
Yeah.
I am very curious and like to hear more about what he has to say about the research.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him in our questions. Maybe tomorrow we can uplink some questions about what it's like to be a PI and
in your own
in your own mission, that you're doing the EVAs for your research experiment.
Yeah, no one can experience it or do it better than you as the PI of this mission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we talked to Soha the other day, and she gave us insights into what it's like to be a PI on a project from the mission control perspective. But I just love hearing the perspectives of the astronauts, and also just kind of what happened with the rover, and that they're planning on doing more of a figure 8 kind of thing. We'll have to take a look at some of the footage when we get it, because that did happen yesterday. So looking forward to seeing what they have. Why don't we take a look at the next clip then?
yeah, so our second question was, can you walk us through what you're expecting to accomplish on the CVA? So what we're hoping to accomplish, so last time on Sol 2, I was the one running the code remotely from the HAB. This time we're going to have our crew commander run the code from the HAB. So the main purpose of this is also to understand, because since we want to test the rover's autonomous, like how autonomous it could be, having other people who aren't specialized in working on this is a great opportunity to see, like, can the rover be run by other people as well, and how easy is it to gather science data as such? And you don't specifically need engineers running this type of rover. So that is something that we're hoping to accomplish, to see how our commander runs the rover and if the rover performs accurately as well.
Yeah, so that is our primary objective of the EVA. And then we also do have a secondary objective that we're going to work on once we're finished with all of our rover operations. And that is, we're going to be trying to take lots of photos and videos and recordings of us in the suits, so that we can share those with the public, and so that everybody watching and following along with Southeast Analog has the opportunity to see all of the hard work that's gone into creating these suits and planning these EVAs and executing them. And so we are really excited to be able to get some of that footage to share with everybody who's interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, in the Artemis 2 crew, they were trained on professional photography. We didn't train our astronauts on professional photography, but we are giving them a lot of opportunity to collect footage, both for themselves and also for our purposes of promoting the mission and really showing what Southeast Analog is.
Yeah, we need to like show people that we're not just doing this for the sake of doing it. There's actual research that's going on. There's being able to, we are actually doing the EVAs and having to show people that we have goals at the end of this mission, just not doing a mission. We have some science that's some science objectives through the mission. Yeah.
And that's the most fun part, because I'm a science nut. I mean, I'm sure everyone in this room and everyone outside of this room is a science nut, because we're all doing STEM. But particularly for me, I love engineering, I love all that, but it's the science that really gets me excited.
Yeah.
And just hearing about the different experiments that they're working on, and autonomy is the future. So autonomous rovers roaming around, that's insane to me. I'm really excited to see how it turns out throughout the mission.
Yeah, for sure. As an aerospace engineering major too, like I'm thinking about all the the time that you've worked on a project, you build something, and for Umesh to actually be there and run his project and see how to get the results for his project. I feel like this is exciting for everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, think about it. You can think about the day one of when you started working on this mission and actually seeing the results of this mission. I think this is a very, I think Southeast Analog, the longevity of this whole organization is just based on the science that we get from this first mission.
Exactly. And just also the high stakes that everybody has in the mission. Yesterday, I believe Vic described some of the, like, she was stating that the mission is a high stakes mission. And it's not just like in terms of what we're doing in the mission, but also all the planning and the effort and the time that went into it. So all of us have some personal attachment to this mission, and we're all so excited to see how it's been going.
Yeah.
Especially since each day when we have those EVAs, we get to just see the work pay off.
Yeah.
And I mean, even when they aren't doing EVAs, when they're just eating or spending time together, it's just
someone
something.
planned that.
Yeah.
And everyone was working to just make sure they're in that moment they're eating whatever they're eating. They're just sleeping. I mean, everyone put in work to make sure everything is happening the way it's happening right now. So it's a really great feeling to see that this mission is successfully happening at this moment. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, I think we have one more question from the astronauts. So let's take a look and see what Umesh has to say about math.
Of course, the last question that we will be answering today, and of course the most important, for some context, Umesh here has requested additional math to do during the mission from some of our amazing flight controllers on the ground, and it has been provided. So Umesh, we've heard you've been working on solving a lot of math problems. How's it been?
So, just to clarify once more, during one of our nighttime mals that we were talking about, we had a few math problems we had to do. And I solved all the problems. I thought I got the right answer, but turns out the equation was formatted a bit weirdly, and I couldn't understand what the equation was trying to say since it wasn't in the math form. So I was a bit confused. Most of the crew was confused. So I said, could we get this equation written out properly so I can see if I can get the correct answer? And our flight controllers understood it as he wants to do more math and gave me a 98-page math textbook.
Is that enough for you?
That is definitely enough for me. So it is very interesting though, because it's the math is actually really cool. It involves a lot of the stuff that is very involved in a astronaut mission like this. And I think one of my favorite parts of solving the math is basically everything that we're doing right now, the justification is within the math problem. So why is it that we're only doing 1 hour long EVAs? Why is it that our habitat is in a certain location? What happens if our solar panel, how does a location influence solar panels? There's so many different problems like this. And it's also what about consumables tracking? Why is this a 10-day mission? All these different factors are there is justification when doing the problems. I found just the math helps me justify all the everything that we're doing right now in the mission as well. So I find that really fun and interesting that everything that I'm doing is basically saying oh, this is exactly why we're doing it. So yes, I am enjoying doing the math.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think it shows sort of just how much math and engineering and technical work goes into designing a mission like this, and how much work has been done in planning it and running it and completing it. And so thinking about that and thinking about how it'll transfer to future missions is really cool. Yeah.
Even astronauts have homework, it turns out. They can never escape the math. And I think it's just funny that Vic was like, here, have my textbook.
Like a 98-page math problem. I feel like He's like, okay, you want some math problem? Here you go. Here
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and last I heard, he solved, I think, 10 of them, so I'm looking forward to see post-mission how Vic grades his work and see if he passed or not. But it's definitely interesting how we've been able to kind of strengthen these malinjections to make them a little bit more realistic, in that you will likely have calculations you'll have to do. You'll likely have to go out and do some EVA work and, just check up on these technical things. It's not just going to be, okay, this is what we think we would do. No, we're going to try to make them do something similar to it.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of am looking forward to, even like future SEA missions, like, longer missions, more complex scenarios, like to see how we're going to grow in this analog space mission industry. So things like this kind of gives us like some ideas. I don't know if they're good or bad, but there's some good ideas for what the mission of SEA missions is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have our first question in the live stream today.
Oh, let's go.
So very excited for that.
Yeah.
The astronauts gave a really great perspective on what they've been doing. And again, the astronauts, those are recordings that we've been sent after we uplinked them questions yesterday and received those downlink recorded footage at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is because we operate on a 20-minute communications time delay, and we can't do live interviews, unfortunately. But this question is, so with the mission, how are crew schedules made, and do they eat and sleep on a schedule or when they feel sleepy? So
on a schedule, they're always on a schedule. Every little
Yes.
small thing they do, if you need to exercise, if you need to sleep, they're on a schedule on everything that they do.
now there is a little bit of wiggle room in those schedules because we don't want to overwhelm the astronauts with a this time kind of thing, because it's not always going to be perfect in that, and especially with the communication delay, we can't kind of correct those or provide direct feedback on what they should do in a case like that. So we plot, or we give them some spare time throughout their days where they don't have anything scheduled, so that in case something goes a little bit longer, they have time to still accomplish all their duties for the day. And even like there's mealtime blocks each day. Those mealtime blocks help our astronauts stay on a nutritional schedule that has been designed for them, so that they get the nutrition they need to exercise, the food intake on a specific dietary level, and just all of those little details that you would need to plan ahead for in a mission where you don't have direct access to everything else that we do here at Mission Control.
I think on the first day, Caitlin, our sergeant, she was able to talk more about on what went on when planning for their nutrition, for their daily nutrition, what they eat, why they eating that. Also their dietary restrictions. I mean, half of the crew are vegetarians, so she had to put in mind when she was creating all this nutrition schedule and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, even with their sleeping, that shifts every day 40 minutes because when you are walking or when you are living on Mars time, you have a 24-hour longer day than you do on Earth. So each day, the rotation of Mars is just a little bit longer than it is of Earth. So we have to adjust that and operate on Mars time, which means that each day the astronauts are waking up 40 minutes later than they did the previous day and going to bed 40 minutes later than they did on the previous day as well. So there's a lot of fun in that, and I mean the astronauts are really good at sticking to those schedules with their meal times and their sleeping. That's some of the most critical parts of the mission, is making sure they get their sleep.
Yeah, we have to make sure our astronauts are healthy and feeling good. We don't want to, put stress on them, and we want to make sure they're eating well, they're sleeping well, getting good rest, also with good exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we have another question. How is it like to be a public affairs officer for a mission like this? Do you want to take that?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it all started almost a year ago. Preparing on how to handle the mission, just learning what information we give the the public, how to come up with social media posts, how to. I think the most challenging part for me has been the live stream. Yeah. This has really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I'm really excited about that. But I've been loving it each and every day that we are doing this. But as a PAO, I think it's been fun. I think it's the most fun.
Yeah, I think we have the most fun.
Yeah, it's more chill. We get to do the fun part of the job.
Yeah.
We get to have fun too during this job. Yeah.
And we just get to really connect with people and connect with our audience and, just really share the perspectives of the mission.
Yeah.
So this is really... Sorry, I just read a question in the chat. Nia caught me lacking. Anyways, this is we get to have the most fun. Again, we get to answer questions like these that just make it a little bit more fun and give us some good laughs. And we get to live on the Earth schedule.
Yeah, we don't have to do the
so
overnight
nice.
shifts too.
Yes, we don't have to go super late. We don't have to shift our schedules every day. I mean, we shift based on who we have coming in on a day. On days that we don't have a VIP guest, it's standardly scheduled for 10:30, which means that we'll come in about 3 hours before that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. We have another question. Chat, is this real or simulated? From Nia. So... This is simulated. It's analogous to an actual space mission, which means that it's very close to or similar to an actual analog mission or an actual space mission. So what we're doing here is we're going through the motions of what we would do in outer space, but here on Earth.
Yeah, for an analog mission, it's mostly simulated. It's what we use in here on Earth to try and learn more about what having a real space mission looks like. And it's mostly focused on the human factor side of a space mission. So we're not like doing a whole launch or anything. We're just trying to understand how astronauts can work together in a very confined space, in a very long time. We get to do some experiments and be able to learn from that. I mean, there's no one who's gonna go to Mars and try and do that for the first time and try and put people in a space, in a confined space for 8 months in a long time. So yeah, that's why we get to do this.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Well, we have another question. Is it pronounced EECOM or ECOM? And I feel like this is up to interpretation because the acronym is EECOM. So it kind of depends on how you want to interpret it. I pronounce it ECOM.
Yeah, me too, ECOM.
Yeah.
I've not had anyone say EECOM.
I've heard one person say it on the loops like that, and I was just kind of like...
Is it from the EECOM console or from...
I think it was. I mean, it's up for debate, so we'll leave that to the audience, how you want to sort that out. But the acronym will remain true. Okay, next question. What's the Mission Control Center mascot, or is it different for every console? Do you want to talk about ours for PAO?
No, you go ahead, because
Okay.
you was your idea.
All right, so Mission Control Center doesn't have one big actual mascot.
We should do that next year.
We should do that next year for sure. I was thinking initially when we were going through with the mission, like an octopus or something. Because we had 8 teams that were working together, not 8 consoles anymore. I think we have 9 consoles now. 10 consoles actually. There's multiple people. Oh, we have a prop. So for public affairs officers, we have a capybara with a Lego astronaut riding it. So this is very fun. This is Gabriel and this is Michael. We're just having fun. And can we simulate sending capybaras to space? No, we are not. That will be, I don't want PETA coming after us or PETA, PETA. And I'd rather not put an animal in an analog habitat and stress them out. But I mean, we can put pictures of a capybara in the habitat. If we, you know what, that's what we need to uplink tomorrow. We need to uplink a picture of a capybara to the astronauts just for fun. I think that's something, Comets, get on that. But yeah, so each console actually has their own mascots. I think the console that actually started it was Oso. Oso has like 4 different mascots over there, and they have a really good time. And then everybody was just like, you know what, let's do that. So there's more mascots, I think, coming our way. We also have Rise from the Artemis 2 mission. This is Oso.
Bob the Sea.
Bob the Seal. Love Bob the Seal. Very cute. Oh my gosh, they're all coming in now. All of them are. We got Rise. This is ground control. Kilo Papa. Kilo Papa was his research. He's missing an eye.
This is
Blob Caitlin.
This is Agent Ajira Oso.
Agent Ajira Oso. And this is our newest PAO, red blood cell carrying an oxygen. So we have a lot of fun little mascots we like to use. If you don't have a mascot for your mission control console, you need to get one.
Yeah.
Don't be lame.
We should do a competition on who has the best.
Yes, we'll leave that as an audience competition.
Yes.
Or audience judgment there. So let's take a look at some more questions. Let's see. Do you guys feel amaze? I feel amaze.
I do feel amaze.
Oh, this is Ops Plan right here. They have a little penguin.
Peanut the planning penguin.
Peanut the Planning Penguin. So
I like the
very
names.
cute. I know. The names are fun.
Yeah.
So the little keychain on it is making it fall over, but we'll put this right here. So this is this is mission control right here. These actually do all the work.
Yeah.
We're actually the mascots. They do the hard work.
Yeah.
And we sit here and look pretty, okay? But do you feel amaze?
I do feel amaze. I mean, I love every single day. I think it's getting better. We're kind of like in a sync. Everyone's in a sync, and things are getting exciting. I mean, every day. I think it's only PA who only had like a mascot. Now everyone has one. So I mean, people are getting into the vibe. People are loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting to be a great bonding experience, making the mission control center a little bit more interesting, especially when we have those points in the mission where we have some downtime. It's like, well, let me play with my let me make it gallop. We'll go. Everything's falling over. Oh no. Okay. Okay, we have a really interesting question here. How are selections for MCC and crew, how will they be for the next mission? So that's actually something that we have to develop with the next year's leadership. As president, I'm not going to do anything like, this is the way it is. This is a team discussion that we'll have. But those applications for flight controller positions and especially astronaut consoles, or I missed that up. So flight controller consoles in astronaut positions. So the astronaut applications will likely go out later this fall. We'd like to aim for those to come out likely earlier November. Last year we sent them out in December, but we want to operate on a little bit of a faster timeline this year, since last year was a lot of figuring out what worked and what didn't work. And just kind of getting to where we needed to be. But ideally we'd like to have our astronaut crew selected a little bit earlier so we could have more training experience with them.
I believe this year is gonna be a little easy because you know what to expect.
Yeah, we know a lot more what to expect. We aren't planning from scratch. We have a foundation.
Yeah. And it's a learning experience. Like, oh, we don't want this next year. Oh, we want this next year.
We know what's worked and we know what hasn't, and so we'll base a lot of our planning off of that. As for Mission Control Center, I think that will come out early in the spring semester, but that's again something that we have to discuss. So all of this is just kind of like, what is it? Skeptical or I don't know. It's up in the air. So we will announce publicly when those applications are coming out. And we'll give you a better timeline as the time approaches. But onboarding will begin starting next week. So stay tuned for more information on our socials about how you can fill out the forms, how you can learn more about Southeast Analog, and how you can really get involved with our organization.
Follow us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and also check out our website and see what's going on the organization.
Awesome. And The next question. I want to be an astronaut for C. Any advice? I would say if you wanted to be an astronaut for Southeast Analog, you really just need to show that you're an adaptable individual, that you can really handle any challenge, and that you can really work with a team to overcome challenges that you may not be prepared for.
Yeah, most of an astronaut work just is about teamwork and how you work in a team-based environment, and also how trainable you are, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, can you be trained? Can you be can you follow instructions? I think if you're able to show that, I think that you'll have a good chance of becoming an astronaut.
Absolutely. And our next question is, what are our plans for next year? Coming from the Southeast Analog account. So I'm wondering who's logged into the account and asking questions on there, but I will gladly answer that. As president of Southeast Analog for the 2026 to 2027 mission cycle, I'm hoping to guide our organization towards more upgraded and fine-tuned processes. And also, I would like for us to be in a higher end facility if possible. I really hope that we can get into one of those established analogs that are pressurized and have their own life support systems, because ultimately we want to provide the closest experience to a Mars habitat that we can, or a lunar habitat, depending on what we do next year. It may not be Mars, it might also be, or it might be the moon instead, or a different moon, like maybe in Saturn or something like that. But again, these are all things that we have to discuss with our leadership next year and establish the high architecture mission structure. But absolutely, we're looking to expand and grow this organization as much as possible.
Sure, I am looking forward to seeing you as president next year. I'm very, very curious on how that will go.
Yeah, well, I'll keep you updated.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, well, Tilak, I saw that. You're behind the camera right now and you're asking questions. Okay, next question. Any challenges your team faced when building this mission? Many challenges. This mission development process has not been, I wouldn't say it's been a roller coaster, okay? It goes up and down, but there's a lot of reward that comes with it and a lot of lessons. So we have been learning throughout this process. Oftentimes, in a more, nothing is spoon-fed to us. So we have been really, really challenged throughout this process. And I think the biggest challenge I can think of for us as PAOs is learning how to address situations live and with confidence and composure and with facts as well.
Yeah, I think for me personally as PAO, like you say, just learning how to address things and even learning how to follow a procedure on this, emergencies or things like things that you are not thinking of. So I think everyone in this console or in this MCC can, even the astronauts, everyone I think they can think about like a very challenging moment that made them think like, oh shoot, is
everyone
this gonna
definitely
happen?
has one.
Yeah, for sure.
But we all stuck to it and we all really pulled this off.
Ooh, and that's what makes this whole experience rewarding. Yeah.
All right. Another question. I'm a graduate student. Am I still able to join this? Absolutely, you can join this. Our organization was actually founded by graduate students plus an undergraduate student. So our organization seeks to be interdisciplinary, intergrade level, as immersive as possible for as many students as we can impact. The only requirement is that you are a student involved in education, actively participating in an education, so that we can really ensure that this mission is for students and by students. I know that kind of limits opportunity a little bit, but the reason why we have that is because it's supposed to go hand in hand with what you're learning and not just be an experience as like a hobby. We really want people to grow from this as much as possible with their education. But yeah, that's currently what I have to say about this as future president.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely submit your interest form as a graduate student when we send those out. But I think that concludes the questions that we have for today. I mean, we've been on this show for 2 hours, which is really good, but had some really great engagement for the past 20, 30 minutes
Yeah.
from the audience.
Yeah. I think the most we've had this whole mission,
yeah.
right?
Yes, definitely the most.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you for tuning into the official talk show of C1 Thalassa to learn about our mission this Thursday morning, and we can't wait to share updates with you as the mission progresses. Join us tomorrow around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the next segment of our talk show, where we will have Dr. Christopher Carr, the Associate Professor of Space Biology and Southeast Analog Faculty Advisor. See you then, and don't forget to Thalask about it.